That must be a very interesting comic book you're reading.
Oh, hi, Dr. Chang.
Do you know where Mr. Hawkins' chart is, Miss Dale? I can't seem to find it.
Well, I'll see if it's on the rack.
Thank you. Hawkins snitched it to Reed. You know he loves his own symptoms.
Around the world. After all, you can see the same thing right here in New York City just by taking a ride in the subway. One of my favorite excursions is to Chinatown, where they've managed to bring over a little piece of the good earth and learn to make American chop silly. But this time, my business was more than pleasure. A familiar but very troubled voice on the phone had asked me to come.
Mr. Diamond, it is true you enjoyed your meal?
Bean pods, leaves, bamboo shoots. Now, how can anyone make that taste good, Fong? But, you know, you do.
It is an ancient secret recipe, Mr. Diamond, which I invented last month. Do you wish anything more?
Well, I just ordered some tea. It'll brace me up for my appointed round, thanks. The voice on the phone hadn't been Fong's. It belonged to the girl Keisha. And I'd never seen her so completely without her lovely smile. You didn't quite make it.
I do not, Mr. Diamond.
Smile. Got sidetracked somewhat.
Many things we have one day are lost the next.
Keisha, you asked me to come here. Now you're acting as though I just dropped in.
I'm sorry. I called in a moment of haste.
I introduced you to the man you're going to marry. Now, if you're unhappy, he'll be unhappy. If you're both unhappy, then I'm unhappy.
Oh, you must not be, Mr. Diamond.
Well, then it is something between you and Lynn, isn't it?
I guess you will learn. There is not going to be a marriage.
I thought it was all arranged right after Lynn finished his residency.
I think perhaps my ancestors were right. They arranged marriages without love.
Well, what happened?
It was a few days ago, the night he has no work. The big night of our week. And then he would laugh like a song and take my hand and talk of us. It was as if I heard the nightingales again from my childhood. But this time when he took me home, no long parting at the door, and quickly he said he would not see me again.
Now, I've known Lynn for years. Even if something did happen, he wouldn't act like that.
In China, a woman doesn't question her man, even if there are other women in his life.
Keisha, Lynn isn't like that either.
I would not care. I love him.
Well, sometimes being in love brings out the best of man's stupidity. Well, it has been a long time since I've been to a doctor.
Please do not upset him.
Well, maybe he needs a little upsetting. Keisha, it wasn't Confucius, but a very wise man once said something about hope springing eternal.
Chang?
Yes?
This is Stuart. We spoke the other day about a business transaction. You remember?
Yes.
I presume you have the merchandise?
I will have.
You realize that I've made commitments of my own on this basis, and any delay would be most inconvenient?
You made that very clear.
At 9,
There?
then. No, I think not. On the Mott Street subway platform, uptown side.
I'll meet you.
I'm sure you will, Doctor.
Hello, Rick.
I just happened to be in a different neighborhood, so I went out of my way to stop by.
Something special?
Very special. Do you mind if I come in?
I'm very busy, Rick.
It's only going to take a few minutes.
All right. It's your nickel, Rick.
Okay, I'll make it short and sweet. What's with you and Keisha?
Rick, I don't think it's your business.
Well, probably not, but the question still stands.
It was a mistake. Maybe I'm not ready for marriage. I don't know. That happens, you know.
Not with you and Keisha.
With me, then.
Then someday you're going to be a crackerjack surgeon. But you're never going to get good enough to cut out your own heart.
Leave me alone, Rick.
I wouldn't be much of a friend if I did that, would I?
Then I relieve you of all obligation. I'm a big boy now.
Hey, now, just hold on a minute. I thought Keisha was one of the few girls good enough for you. I'm beginning to believe she's too good. But any way you look at it, she's got an explanation coming, and I am going to see she gets it.
What are you going to do? Punch me in the nose?
Now, I just might.
Go ahead. It might help all of us.
Then when I was a cop, we used to have to take people into the hospital. I watched the way you treated them, like their life was yours. We got to having coffee together, I thought we were pretty good friends. Lynn, I know what kind of house you lived in China, what you dreamed about as a kid.
Don't be corny, Rick. All you need is some soft background music.
All I need is a straight answer.
You've got it. I don't love the girl. I never did, and I don't want to get married. So please, butt out.
You're lying to me.
Don't call me a liar.
Well, if you're not lying, how come this isn't in the basket?
Get out, Rick.
I knew the chief of staff and the head doctors all liked and respected Lynn, to the point where they took a personal interest. I figured a talk with one of them might help. Hello, Harris.
Well, hi, Rick. What are you doing? Tracking down a missing appendix?
No, I'm on the trail of a floating rib. Hey, what happened to the blue suit with the brass buttons?
Oh, the commissioner finally realized it was a shame to waste all this talent on a beat. They call me lieutenant now.
Well, Lieutenant, that means you won't be able to steal any more apples. What squad is it?
Narcotics.
Narcotics, huh? Is that what brings you here, or is it this pretty nurse?
Business, I'm afraid. Box of the stuff grew wings somehow and flew away.
Any leads?
Leads? Narrowed it down to any one of 1,000 patients, staff, nurses, doctors.
Well, the patients maybe, but not the doctors.
Look, I told you I just got promoted. Do you mind if I handle this?
Be my guest. Miss, Dr. Chang around?
Oh, he's not on duty tonight.
I must have got my wire switched. I'll catch him at home, thanks. Harry, give the commissioner a big kiss on both cheeks for me, huh?
Oh, nice seeing you again, Rick.
Yes. Now, you just can't accuse a friend of stealing narcotics without any proof. So, as much as I hated the idea of tailing a friend, I decided to keep tabs on Lynn for a while and see what he was up to.
Precisely, man. I admire a punctual man.
Isn't this a little public?
Modestly so. But I always feel it's so obvious for two nefarious people to meet up a dark alley with their coat collars up. Sit down. Yeah, foreign news always depresses me. Terrible things happening. Particularly in China. See that trash box?
Yes?
It's full to the top. Walk by and drop the package in as if you were throwing it away.
I haven't got it.
What did you say, Doctor?
I haven't got it. I had it planned, but there was an extra nurse.
In that case, you know what to expect.
No, wait.
For what?
I'm not backing out. I'll get it later.
I don't know what reasons you may have, Doctor. But if you're stalling for time to think of an alternative, well, I shall be here at precisely midnight. I suggest you'd better be here also.
I knew where I could latch on to Len again. But this character was a piece of the puzzle I didn't want to lose. The size of him, he might fill in a pretty big section. If I could get a line on him. Albert Stewart. Well, the name didn't help. But right now I wanted to learn one thing. Whether Mr. Stewart had any connection with narcotics traffic.
Good evening.
Mr. Stewart?
At your service.
A friend recommended you to me.
Come in.
Thank you.
Sit down. Your name is Mr.
Smith?
Good. Now, may I ask who was kind enough to recommend my services?
Mr. Brown.
I see.
Mr. Stewart, I think you'll agree that international trade is a complicated business.
Quite.
And sometimes, unfortunately, we must resort to certain irregularities.
Unfortunately, we must. Now, what specifically can I do for you, Mr. Smith?
Well, it's just a matter of distribution. I'm sure we can work out some percentage deal.
I shouldn't be surprised. Of course, I will have to inspect this merchandise of yours.
Oh, certainly, but you do feel you can help me if everything is satisfactory.
If everything is satisfactory, yes. Of course, there's the matter of a few credentials and the real name of Mr. Brown.
Naturally. You can expect to see me tomorrow.
Excellent. Good evening.
Good evening. Stewart hadn't said anything to incriminate himself, but any honest businessman would have thrown me out of his office when I started that John Smith routine.
May I suggest no resistance, Mr. Diamond?
Is this the way Mr. Stewart does business?
Come with us, please.
Somehow I tripped myself up. And I figured to fall real hard. Well, gentlemen, this is not exactly the kind of place I had in mind, but it does look cozy. A little damp in the winter, maybe, but...
Be seated, if you please.
Well, you fellas have convinced me. I'll take it. How much is the rent?
If it's necessary for you to stay here, Mr. Diamond, you'll have a very long lease, rent-free.
I distinctly heard you say the word if.
If you cooperate, we may be lenient.
Well, I've gotten used to living.
I'm willing to listen. Go ahead.
It's very simple. You've been prying into things that do not concern you. By calling on Mr. Stewart, we must assume that you have a clear picture of the situation. Your next stop, no doubt, would be the police.
What would happen if I could erase this clear picture from my mind? And give us your honorable word the picture will not be repainted?
You mean you take my word?
There's a common sense matter, Mr. Diamond. Of course, the decision is yours.
Well, I don't think we can come to terms, gentlemen. But it has been nice chatting with you.
Don't force me, Mr. Diamond.
After all, you stopped. You pick up your friend and help him back over there. Come on. Now take the gun out of his pocket and hand it over.
Extremely foolhardy of you, Mr. Diamond.
Not so foolhardy. It just didn't figure that two hired guns for a narcotic ring were going to have such childlike faith in my integrity.
Mr. Diamond, please, we beg of you, don't ask anything more. Perhaps someday you'll understand.
Well, that's a lot of forgetting. I'm afraid I'll have to understand that.
Would you come with us, please?
Lead away. Mr. Fawn.
I'm afraid we amateurs are no match for Mr. Diamond, but he's agreed to hear us out.
Sit down, please. Look at us, Mr. Diamond, carefully. We are simple people, all born in China. Our homes are here now, and that we would not change. But our roots still touch the soil of China. Each of us has relatives there. It is for them we are concerned.
Mr. Fong, I only had one concern. It was Dr. Chan and his girls. Just that simple.
Lin is in the web with us, Mr. Diamond. He also has people in China.
I know, his mother and father.
I have two brothers there, and my wife, his sister. The old woman has a son, all that's left of her family.
And my two children, they chose to go back and fight for our country from the inside. Enough little termites chewing away can bring down the biggest house.
What does all this have to do with me?
You paid a visit to Mr. Stewart.
His main business is what I believe you call extortion, Mr. Diamond. Extortion of Chinese Americans.
Mr. Stewart spent years in the Orient. He still has unofficial connections in Beijing. Miss Diamond, one false word planted in the right ear, and my children would be dragged from their beds at night.
You mean Mr. Stewart can arrange such a party from here?
It would not be difficult. So we pay and pay every penny we can. Lin Chan did not even have money, but Lin had something better.
The narcotics.
We overheard you in the restaurant. We knew that you would stir up the hornet's nest.
Yeah, but you came after me with a gun. Why not with Stewart?
We have all thought of that. But if Mr. Stewart is found dead or even imprisoned, word will get back.
There ought to be open season on men like Stewart.
We pay now. We will go on paying. Promise us, you will not interfere.
I promise you I won't jeopardize your people. But I can't promise you I won't try to get Stewart some other way.
We are still asking for your word, then?
You have it.
had an appointment.
Not here, not now. I told you never to come to my office.
I know, but I want to get it over and done with.
You have it with you this time?
Why else would I come?
I do hope you came alone, Doctor. If you brought the police or a group of your countrymen with pearl-handled daggers, you know it will happen.
Yes, I've given that a lot of thought.
Very well. Give me the stuff and get out of here. Doctor, let's not be melodramatic.
I'm going to kill you, Mr. Stewart.
Don't be an idiot. Even if you hide my body, it won't work. If I don't get in touch with my contact, they'll know what to do.
I'm aware of that.
Think of your parents. Think of what will happen to the others.
They'll die.
Doctor, listen. We'll forget about the narcotics.
We already have. I put them back in the hospital where they belong. I would have paid you any money you asked. But the more I looked at that package, the more I thought of the evil the contents could do.
Doctor, killing is no answer.
It's the only answer. You and I and a handful of my people will pay the price. But that will end it. I can't do it. Not even to you. Rick! I couldn't do it. I couldn't even kill him.
I'm glad you didn't, Len. I went down to the station. I picked him out of a mug book. He's never been to the Orient. He's been in jail for the last 10 years. He just got out last month.
And he'll be in for the next 20. Come on, you. Oh, Rick, I meant to tell you. You know those missing narcotics I mentioned?
Yeah.
Must be a mistake. They found them. Right back in the cabinet where they belong. Come on.
Now, just why are you sticking around here? Isn't there someone you'd like to see?
Do you think she'll speak to me?
Yeah, I think she just might. Well, Mrs. Lin Chang, how does it sound?
Like millions of Chinese nightingales.
And a fine racket that would be. Thanks, Rick.
Forget it, huh? Look, do I have to arrange everything? I thought you were going on a honeymoon. Do not become deeply involved in the lives of others.